Hello, hello, hello. Let's get started. Chapter 18. To Be or What? Master, if my understanding of human nature is correct, you'll be happy to know that we have a full house, said Mandelbrot. Thanks, but I saw them lining up on my way in, said Derek as he hastily donned the tight breeches that were a part of his costume. He waited until he had put on the remainder of his costume, a purple tunic over a white shirt with ruffled sleeves and a pair of boots, before he asked Mandelbrot, "How's Canute? Has it done anything unusual? Anything that might indicate it knows about my special plans?" "So far, it appears to be acting like the rest of the robots, that is, as calm as ever." "You're not nervous at all, are you?" "I am naturally concerned that the illusion proceeds as planned, as are all the robots, but the only nervousness I might possess, if I might use such a word as nervousness, revolves around my concern that you perform in accordance with your own standards." "Thanks. How much time do we have?" "Mere moments until curtain. Everything in place?" "Everything but your grease paint, master. My make-up! I forgot all about it." Mandelbrot helped him apply it, in great heaps that Derek was certain would appear primitive and grotesquely overstated when picked up by the cameras. "Is the stage ready?" Derek asked. "Everything in its proper place?" "Naturally. But the hunter said, forgive me, master, but I deduced how you would want the remaining details handled." Derek nodded, but said nothing. Suddenly he was gripped by the overriding fear that he would step out on stage and forget every single one of his lines. Or worse, he would begin acting out the wrong scene. "Relax, master. I am confident you will perform to the letter." Derek smiled. He looked in the mirror. He hoped he looked fine. Then he walked out into the wings, joining Ariel and the robots. Bullruff sat on a special chair in the very rear section of the backstage area, before a bank of screens showing the stage from several angles. 3 supervisor robots sat in the chair before the screens, operating automatic cameras concealed throughout the theaters that, with the appropriate zooms and pans, would provide a total picture of everything on stage. All that was left for Bullruff to call the shots and to tell one of the robots what should be broadcasted to the holoscreens throughout the city. Besides her was a huge dish of artificial roughage. Though her concentration was on the screens, she was absent-mindedly systematically picking up handfuls and stuffing them into her mouth. If she had a tail, Derek thought, she'd be wagging in happiness. "Master, it's curtain time," said Mandelbrot. Derek raised an eyebrow. "Mandelbrot, is that a quiver of excitement I detect in your voice?" Mandelbrot shook his head. Derek couldn't tell if it was from confusion or from a desire to communicate an emphatic "no." That would be impossible. He straightened and paused. "Unless I've assimilated some of your lessons on voice inflection and have begun using them without conscious knowledge." "Later, Mandelbrot, later. Let's get the show on the road." He gave a signal to the stage hand, and the curtain rose. A single shaft of light revealed the robot playing Francisco, the guard at his post, standing in the center of the stage. The robot playing Bernardo entered and said, "Who's there?" Francisco stood straight, gestured with his spear, and said in authoritative tones, "Nay, answer me. Stand and unfold yourself." At the moment Derek could not recall a single one of his lines, not even those of the difficult soliloquy, but now he felt confident that he would know what to do and what to say when the time came. He steeled himself, realizing that he would have to forget about being Derek What's-His-Name for a while. For the next 3 hours he would be somebody else, somebody called Hamlet, Prince of Denmark. Indeed, once he stepped into the stream, Derek was rushed headlong down the events of the play, as if he had been swept up by rapids. He even forgot to spring some of his surprises on Canute, slight line changes reflecting the events of the past few weeks that, presumably, were subtle enough that only Canute would grasp their import and realize Derek was planning to put him on the spot. Derek eventually signaled Mandelbrot that he was calling off that entire aspect of his plot, because the change of the play at this point, even for a good reason, seemed almost criminal. All the robots performed brilliantly, with perfect precision. Derek realized that his fears the show might be unsuccessful were left ungrounded, at least on that score, for she was dealing with robots, not humans, who might vary their performances from time to time. Once the robots had grasped Derek's meanings during rehearsal, they had never deviated from them, and tonight was no exception. Needless to say, Kenate had given away nothing during rehearsal. But tonight, during the performance, he played his role beautifully, almost brilliantly. He played Claudius as Derek would have liked to have instructed him to play the role, but had refrained for fear of tipping too much of his hand. Tonight Kenate was arrogant, controlled, self-assured, guilt-ridden, and obsessed with holding on to what he imagined was rightfully his. It was almost as if, having decided it would weather the production without being exposed, Kenate had mentally relaxed and permitted itself to be swept down the same rapids. Good, Derek thought during the second scene of the third act, then the big surprise should work even more effectively. For this was the scene of the play within the play, and before the actors began their real performance, the script called for a dumb show, a play without words that mirrored the action of Hamlet. In the original, a king and queen passionately embrace, and then the queen leaves as the king sleeps. A third party enters, takes off the king's crown, and then pours poison into his ears. When the queen returns, she grieves for her dead husband, then is wooed by the poisoner, who quickly wins her love. Derek figured that a rewrite of a pantomime was all right, since it didn't involve changing any dialogue. Besides, he read in the foreword to the text that Shakespeare's plays had been frequently tampered with to make them more relevant, or seemingly so, to the world of the production. But, in the rewrite the king built a tall building of sticks and cogs to the tune of Blue Goose. The queen admired it, then left, and as the king gazed down upon his creation, the third party snuck up behind him and bashed him over the head with a big stick. The king fell down dead, and then the third party smashed the building. The three cracked cheeks played Stormy Weather. Derek applauded to indicate the dumb show was over. Then, when Ariel looked at him, asking for eyes what was happening, Derek merely shrugged, but watched Kenate as he said his lines. After the actors resumed the performance, Kenate acted out the scenes of Claudius' guilt no differently than before, after making allowances for the robot's more relaxed attitude. The rest of the play continued without special event. It proceeded until Hamlet died, Derek landing on the floor with a resounding thud, feeling pretty dead himself. Poor Lucius, the first creative robot in history, was going to be unavenged. Well, I'm not through yet, thought Derek, lying on the floor as robots wrapped up the last scene of the play. I can literally take Kenate apart if I want to, and I think I will. Derek stood up as the curtain fell and looked at everyone in anticipation. Well, how do you think it went? Forgive me, master, said Kenate, drawing itself up to its full height almost like a prideful human, but if you permit a subjective opinion, I think the production was an utter failure. Okay, pretty harsh words from Kenate. Hope you enjoy. Since part 9 is really short, I'll have it come out tomorrow, and then the rest of the chapters will continue as per normal. And that's all. Bye!